Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Hope you're having a good week. So today, right after this IG Live, we're actually announcing something for the Valentine's Day. We have teamed up with 6 amazing brands, and we're doing a huge Valentine's Day giveaway. And we call them the Pampering Kit, to help us with the lockdown and for some gift ideas for our loved ones. But hi Brooke, hi everyone. And so today I'm doing something very different. Ever since the pandemic started last year, I have been doing IG Lives with inspiring founders of brands and to talk through their founder journey, why they're so passionate about what they're doing. And this week, this is the very first time I'm going live with a community member who's more of a consumer than the brand founder. And I'm really excited to go on live with Brooke and just to talk through some of the her background, her story, and some of the challenges that she faced as a Black female consumer in today's world. So, hi Brooke. So if you request to be in my IG live, and I can bring you in. And for you who are tuning in, if you have any questions for Brofer, I don't know, anything really, and for me, you can put that into the comment box. And this is a conversation, so we'll get to all your questions in this IG live. Hey Ryan.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
You look great.
Thank you.
How's your day going?
It's been a little crazy, you know. We had a busy work day and just doing stuff within my personal life. It's a big journey that I'm going through right now, so I'm excited, but it's taking a lot of my energy right now.
Ah, I see. Okay. Later on we can go through, I don't know about the personal things, but some of your journey as on the consumer side. And hi
Yeah.
Ryan, yes, you made it. That's awesome. And so yeah, so I was just telling, those who are tuning in that, in the past many months, I have done it for, gosh, when did I start it? Um, when the pandemic had first started. So it's been almost a year, which is crazy. And every week for the past 10 or so months, been going live with founders of different brands, usually sustainable and ethical brands, from underrepresented founders. And it's been great doing that. And this week, I'm doing something completely a little bit different.
hmm
And Brooke, so it's so great to have you on here. And wanted to kind of share with the audience like who you are, what's your background, what's your story.
Okay, yeah, sure. First of all, it's great what you're doing. I love learning about different underrepresented brands because that's, of course, my preference to shop those brands. So it's good to have, another resource to kind of tap into those brands. So thank
Hmm.
you first for doing that. It's amazing. Um, just a little bit about me. Right now, I am a fashion merchandiser, but previously I worked intensely in the beauty industry. I worked at Ulta for 4 years, and in between those 4 years, I was able to work with one of the top beauty brands, Lancome, and it's been like just such a really incredible experience just getting into the beauty industry. But once I
Hmm.
started working there, and especially towards the end of my journey, I just noticed how things are just geared towards a certain group of people. And sometimes the group of people that there is their target market isn't me. And so that's kind of where I started, researching and figuring out where I can uh, find brands that would represent people like me.
Hmm. And how has that journey for you? And like when did you start kind of recognize that gap? Because with Black Lives Matter, in 2020, and especially in June, I remember that time frame really
hmm
clearly, where a lot of brands, including Sephora, Ulta, you name it, basically
hmm
every brand out there is making a statement, right, about supporting Black employees or having more diversity in their ads campaign or brand offering and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So was that enough? Like you as a consumer, right? I know that you can see through a lot of things, but is that enough? And what is the gap there?
I noticed that when everything with Black Lives Matter started happening, a lot of brands were just jumping on the bandwagon, basically saying, I see this is getting a lot of attention right now. To a
Mhm.
lot of brands, it was simply just a hashtag Black Lives Matter, or posting a black square, just to be a part of the movement. But for a lot of brands, they need to just take a little bit more initiative within the structure of their system. Are they employing Black and Brown employees? Are they making products that will appeal to Black and Brown consumers? So I just feel like that's super important. And that is really going to show if that brand is really in this for the long run, or are they just doing it for clout, which is just bandwagon stuff?
Yeah.
So
Um, and then how do you, like from your point of view, like how do you go about doing research, or like how do you know if they're being authentic or sincere or not?
um,
Is that
it,
easy to tell, or do you think that's confusing for you?
it's a little bit difficult, but I feel like the more you you look for it, the more you can tell. For example, like very high-end brands, a lot of times they make mistakes and they do the same mistake repeatedly. So there had been an incident with Gucci having reference to blackface within a runway show. And a lot of the high-end fashion brands, it's not their first time having incidents with racism or things that really upset people. So if you keep doing it over and over again, obviously you're not getting any better. You're not hiring the right people to help you pinpoint your issues. And you issuing an apology is just not doing enough. So consumers really need to take control of just basically how they spend their money, because every cent you spend is going to be an investment in a business, whether you want it to be or not. They're going to get your money and they can do whatever they want. They
Hmm.
can continue with the negative platform, or if you invest into conscious brands, you're putting your money towards a bigger picture.
Yeah. And I think that statement is so powerful. And I feel the same way when, looking at the whole picture where, where everything is very baked into the system. It's like, okay, how as individuals can we actually make change? But kind of like what you mentioned, that as a consumer, we actually have a lot of power.
Hmm.
Like we supply the money, and money is hard power, so to
Yeah.
speak,
And
that
that's where
can.
it kind of gets hard to tell if a brand is actually true or not. Of course, they're going to do whatever it takes to make them more money at the end of the
Mhm,
day. So that's where you have to kind of look into how much effort are they putting into it, kind
mhm.
of read into the details of it, and then you'll really find the truth.
Yeah. And could you kind of walk us through how you find your own skincare or beauty products? What has been, what has that journey been like?
At first, I started just by researching either Black-owned brands, minority-owned businesses for skincare or makeup or anything like that. So just starting with a simple Google search, but now that things are, really after Black Lives Matter movement, there's been a bigger platform for the consumer to connect, whether that's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and now even Clubhouse. You can connect to so many different brands and learn about brands every day. And honestly, there's way more brands than I ever like even thought, because they're not readily available in our, you know, our average stores like Target, CVS,
Mhm.
Walgreens. So I really just started with a simple Google search to kind of get me going, and then you could research further just by watching YouTube reviews, or actually reaching out to the brand is a great way to learn about their product and if it's the right fit for you.
How did you, how do you get in touch with those brands? Do you DM them? Do you email them?
Um, when I'm trying to get in touch with a brand, I usually email them. But if it's just a spur of the moment thing, or if I just have a nice review, I'll just DM them quickly.
Yeah, and that's really cool. And how much time do you spend on that process?
Yeah, I like I said in the beginning, it was a lot harder to find
Right.
things, so I spent a lot more time early on. But when I find a brand that I'm interested in, I want to find them on Google, make sure it's a reputable brand and like look at their website and all the frequently asked questions and stuff. And then I might spend time searching on their social media to see kind of what platform do they have in the world and what their opinion is on certain things. Are they quiet? Are they loud? How's their marketing? Is it geared towards one group of people or is it geared for everybody? So I kind of look at those things. Usually takes me about, I don't know, a day all the way up into a week to see if I really want to buy the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're very thorough and very intentional about that process. That's really amazing. And so from like how do you approach, I guess, having or approaching the subject with your friends and family?
Yeah, I mean, I always encourage my friends and
Mhm.
family to like shop with different brands, and I try to explain them the whole investment piece of it because I feel like once you understand that, you're like thinking on a different level and you can see like, okay, this is gonna matter and it's gonna make a difference. So I try to go from that angle, but I really just encourage them. A lot of times, if I try a brand that I fall in love with, I'll simply just pass it on and let someone else try it. Or, it's great to give it as a gift if you don't know where that person is with what kind of style they like. Just give them a gift from, it could be like a candle or a body wash or face wash, to kind of get their feet wet. And then from there, they'll fall in love and hopefully get on board.
Yeah, that is your word of mouth strategy.
Yeah,
Give
yeah,
give them a
exactly.
product they like. They're like, oh, okay, there's actually a new way to find these brands or products.
Yeah, and I also on in my free time I also do Our Money Mondays, which is just a little mini series that I have on YouTube.
Oh, you do?
And yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically just teaching the community about where to find Black-owned, minority-owned businesses, whether that be local to my city or just something you can purchase online. And I kind of walk them through, my pros and cons about each brand.
Oh, that's amazing. You should totally. Okay, I'll drop a link somewhere to
Okay.
direct people to your YouTube series. And so you mentioned that you would walk through on how to find those local businesses.
Yeah, and I even did one time I did a video on, the top 3 Instagram pages to follow to stay connected with certain brands. That way, if you're always looking for new products or, one day you're like, I need laundry detergent. Well, should I go get Tide or should I find like a minority owned business? Then
Yeah.
the Instagram page will actually connect you to the opportunity to find a new brand.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I have to get those resources from you. I'm going to
For
copy your
sure.
advice and then share that with more people.
Yeah, for sure. Like I love doing that. I wish people were into it more because it's kind of a lot of people are hesitant, I feel like. Because of course it's easy to go to Target and get the first thing you see. That's going to be the easy way. But like I said, it's an investment. Every penny you spend is an investment. So just, I take that to, I take that to heart because I work hard for my money. So I want to
Yeah,
make sure it's going towards the right things.
no, you're absolutely right. And I was sharing with you the other day that I didn't start to examine my own purchasing behavior until very recently. And same thing as you before, I would, just go to the normal retail stores and, get whatever that's being advertised, I guess, or whatever that's front and center, and not really
Hmm.
giving a second thought into what's in those bottles or who's behind. It's only that when I see like a big newspaper, maybe
Hmm.
it's unearthing something more scandalous, then I'll be like, oh, okay, shoot. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I totally understand.
yeah.
And I just want people like that are watching right now to know you don't have to like completely, it is a lifestyle choice, but not saying that you have to like go from 0
Mhm.
to 100. It's just little things just to be more mindful while you shop. Maybe the next time you want to buy something for a friend, you think about purchasing maybe like a candle or bath bomb from a minority owned business
Right.
instead of going to your local store.
Yeah, so like just slowly change your habit or the way you shop bit by bit.
Yeah, just
Um,
just little by little. Don't overwhelm yourself because it can be definitely overwhelming.
yeah, no, definitely. That's a really good tip. And so we have one question. Any brands you recommend for starters? Um, and I'm curious, like, are there any kind of categories that you're thinking about for that, for those, um, you know, whoever asked that question?
Yeah. I mean, I can say I can recommend so many brands,
All
but
right.
one of well, actually, the thing I recommend the most to kind of start with maybe your essential products. So you want to start with your body products, so maybe a soap or body wash. For me, one of the first things I tried was a new deodorant, and it's called Play Pits, and it was
Mhm.
started by a mother and son, and it's a black-owned business. It's 100% natural deodorant, vegan. It's no aluminum. So I thought it would be a good switch to kind of transition into an essential brand. Like I used to wear Degree and Dove or whatever was on sale. Now switching to Play Pits, I know that it's healthier for my body, and I know that it's going to better the community because that particular CEO is already working in her community. She goes to high schools and tells young people how to start their own businesses.
Mhm.
She gives tips on her Instagram. So,
Oh, that's
just
amazing.
supporting something bigger than the big brands.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop their handle here. So I've just looked it up, Play Pits. And
Yeah, I love their stuff, and they're
that
trying to
looks so cute.
expand.
That's really good brand. Yeah, natural deodorant made by a mother's love. Perfect for the entire family.
Exactly. I have all the scents already. Like I love it. And so just
um,
little changes like that, like starting with the essentials because you know you're gonna have to repurchase them because they're essentials. So I think that's a good tip to start with.
that's really cool. I didn't know about them before, but now I'm going to DM them and see if we can bring the founder. You mentioned that you like the founder.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. Like she'll do lives or she'll go on her Instagram story and talk all the time. So she's really engaging with her community. So
Oh,
I love that
okay.
about her.
Amazing. Okay, so let's see if we can bring that founder on here and share with us her journey. That listen, I love that. It's just so fun and so playful.
Yeah.
And anything else like in terms of I love the tip you gave, which is start with essentials, kind of really think about start with that instead of going all out for kind of shopping where value is.
hmm
What's another recommendation that you have?
I would just say one thing to just keep in mind is that a lot of minority owned business, black owned businesses are smaller. So they
Hmm.
don't have the full capacity like a brand like Target would, for example, or
Hmm.
Degree or Dove or whatever. So, whenever you shop these brands, of course, always expect amazing customer service. That's your right as a consumer to expect that. But also, understand that there might be slower shipping times. Production might be slower because a lot of times they're still working from inside of their home. So I feel like that's important to consider as well, just when starting, so you won't get frustrated and revert back to bad buying habits.
Hmm. And I totally agree with that. So we work with quite a few brands who, like you said, um, tend to be more of a one person
hmm
shop, and they sometimes make products at home, or they haven't worked with another bigger logistic partner yet
Yes,
for
exactly.
that shipping and handling. And I kind of want to talk a little bit more about this
hmm
because a lot of underrepresented founders, especially women of color, and a big issue for people in that category, myself included, it's access to capital and
hmm
also access to network. So when you don't have as much capital, you can hire more full-time employees.
hmm
And these entrepreneurs tend to also have, let's say, children or other responsibilities at home.
hmm
So all of that means that there might be a slower shipping time and not the 2 days that you typically expect
Amazon
from
is like,
Amazon, right? I feel like Amazon
yeah.
kind of shifted the entire industry and our
hmm
whole consumer psyche into where's my product, where's my product, right? The day after you press the purchasing button. So I would definitely say that's something to keep in mind of. But most brands are very good about listing out that shipping
Yeah.
expectations. So as long as you're mindful of that, like plan for your gifts maybe a little bit ahead of time, that it could be a worthwhile uh, like endeavor. And I'm sure
Yeah.
that yourself or your friends who receive the products will be pleasantly surprised that it didn't just come from Amazon, from a more mass produced
Right, exactly. And like I 100% agree with you. Really try to give these brands a little bit more grace whenever you're purchasing from them. You know, things are not going to be 100% perfect. I mean, it's they're just starting on their own, you know.
Mhm.
Like you said, sometimes it's just a solo thing right now. You know, be mindful, give your grace to them, but you still deserve amazing customer service and a great product. So keep that in mind too. Like you
Yeah,
deserve, yeah, you still deserve the best as a
right.
consumer too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Any other tips that you would like to share with us? I love this, by the way, so we might create like an Instagram post to have like a little resource for people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let me see. Let's see.
Like there, like because you have been so like intentional about, your own purchases, what are some kind of mistakes that you made in the past, or I don't know, some kind of rabbit hole that you went down on that you wish, or I don't know, that's something that you won't do going forward?
Okay, yeah. So when I used to work at Ulta, of course, they give their employees discounts,
Uh-huh.
really good discounts, and some of the brands stack discounts on top of your discounts. So I was really, really awful with my spending, and I didn't care about the brand necessarily, what their values were, or I just cared about what was like on sale and what's popular, what's trendy. So I used to buy stuff, and it's so embarrassing. Like I looked at my history one day, like with all the stuff I purchased, and it was over $3,000, almost $5,000 in 1 year, of just me buying stuff at Ulta. And I'm just like, okay, but is this actually making a difference? And that's kind of where I had to take a step back and look at myself and say, this money, like there's a brand out there, there's several brands out there that need $5,000. But just based off your spending habits, how can you control that and distribute it
Mhm.
to where you believe it deserves to go? You want to look at brands and you want to see if they align with your values, with your goals. You don't want to go purchase something from a brand that might be against you. For example, I always tell people, LGBTQ community, there's some brands that simply just don't support that community, and they've shown it time and time again. There's some brands that don't support Black people or didn't really speak up for Black Lives Matter. Like, do you want to continue to put your hard earned or earn money like towards those brands?
Mhm.
I always say no because that makes no sense. It's kind of like you're shooting yourself in the foot. They're just going to get your money and continue not to help your communities.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And it's actually been great to see more and more people um, have that shift in their mindset. And
Yeah.
I know it's sometimes it is a lot of inertia
Hmm.
completely honest, myself included, is that it's always a little tempting, and we have our own established routine.
Hmm.
But there is the movement is heating up, and there's more and more people recognizing that need. So hope to that we'll see more of that going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, for me, I recently discovered a brand called Patora Bridal, and one of my big goals is to be a bridal designer.
Right.
And I was so happy to see a Black-owned bridal brand that is actually made it to the top. She has her dresses in Kleinfeld. She made it on the cover of the Knot magazine, which is the biggest bridal magazine. So people are gonna start paying attention more to those things. And honestly, like I said, the power is in the consumer's hands.
Yeah.
Once we start shifting our mindsets, the brands have no choice but to react. Otherwise, they'll fall off, you know? So
Yeah. Oh yeah,
we
no,
have we hold
absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely. This is also why we saw a sea of black squares, because most brands don't want to be like fall out
The
the
odd
line.
man out. Yeah, they don't want to be left out.
They
So,
don't want to be the ones just standing there, just looking around, being the last
right.
one on the field. But there's still a lot of work to be done on that
Mhm.
front. A really great question coming in. How do you tell apart brands that are whitewashing their reputations from genuinely socially conscious brands?
I would say you kind of have to just keep your eye on them. if you really want to know. Only it's kind of like one of those things that only time will tell. Of course, during a big movement, everybody's going to jump on board to whatever's convenient for their business. But let's see, a month, 2 months later, check that brand again. You know, find the brand that you thought that was here for the culture and check them again right now and see what exactly they're doing. How does their Instagram feed look now? Did they revert back to their old ways? Are they hiring different models and different skin tones, different hair textures, different body shapes, um, different sexual orientations, just whatever you care about? Are they implementing that into their brand now? Or are they reverting back to just a one size fits all beauty category or standard? That's how you'll really know if a brand is there. You can always go to their website and check to see if they've updated anything about their values or their standards. You could also possibly follow the CEO and see what the CEO is posting, because usually that's different from the brand's page for a lot of larger corporations.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I was going to suggest that a lot of times you can kind of see who the team is behind the company, and I think that what we typically see, and I talk with a lot of founders on a daily basis, and that's something that I can see, which is most teams are still not diverse, and usually for non-diverse teams, their target demographics, because they understand those demographics more, then that's usually the target demographics. So that I would say the inclusive part sometimes comes as an afterthought. So
Mm-hmm.
even brands that do incorporate different skin tone models may not necessarily be as genuine as you would think.
Yeah,
Just
that's
because that
true.
if there is no significant change, I would say, in the team behind it, that still means that they may not be taking it as seriously as they should.
Yeah,
And finding models with different skin tones is actually one of the easier things to do, so to speak. Um,
I definitely could see that.
yeah, but at the same time, it is a lot of work. It is kind of a guesswork, and it takes quite a bit of research into these type of things. And I know that most people probably don't have the time or patience to really do that. So, there's still a lot of, information and symmetry, of course, there, right? Only
Mm-hmm.
brands know that what they're up to versus the image that they're presenting. So anyway, there's a lot of really good things to talk about here. And I do hope that, in a few months when we do this again, then, we will see some significant progress here where things are a little bit more transparent, or it's a little bit easier to discern which ones are whitewashing, which ones are not.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's really hard to tell. The best way is just to try to stay like, keep your eye on the brand and see how they progress. One thing I will say is, like when Fenty Beauty it came out and, they had like an amazing shade range. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other brands wanted to make more shade range, but you could tell that there wasn't a lot of effort put into it. Um, I know this one particular brand came out with like 50 different makeup shades. And this is back when I was working at Ulta. And we tried on the shades and they didn't look like skin tones. Like they didn't match any skin tones. I mean, they looked darker, but they didn't like go with anybody's skin. So I feel like that was just gimmicky to kind of draw in consumers. And I'm sure it did work for a while, but that's not how you really keep your consumers long term. You still have to make a good product. So if it doesn't work, that's how you know.
Right. It's like on the side, we have 50 skin tone. We're the most inclusive brand out there. No, that's funny and also a little bit embarrassing, I guess, on their front.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we still, really rely on other people's feedback and reviews to know if that's something credible.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And like
definitely.
you do, like how you bring the brand's CEO on, founders, you bring them on, and that's like also a really good way to just know about the brand. Once you hear somebody and how they are conversating, you can know, if this person is legit or if they're
Mhm.
just, or if they really don't know.
Yeah.
So that's how I found out, about Absolute Joy, and
Mhm.
I really liked the conversation. So that made me want to even research some more.
Yeah, no, Dr. Anna is wonderful. And we actually had an IG Live a few weeks ago, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's how I met you actually. So, yeah, well, I wanted to kind of wrap up this IG Live, and it's 6 o'clock. I know people are getting off work,
Hmm.
ready to eat dinner. And thanks so much for hopping on and also sharing your tips. And I love them. So we'll probably create some kind of post where we can work together and get some of your
Yeah.
links and
Yeah, for
resources.
sure.
Yeah, that would be great. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we're actually about to just drop that announcement that we're doing a pretty big Valentine's Day giveaway. We named it the Pampering Kit because who doesn't need some pampering this
Right.
season? Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, so we're doing that, and so stay tuned and participate in our giveaway. Alrighty, thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Brooke. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.